What's up, everybody? This week I'm going to teach you how to make one of our very favorite Chinese dishes, Tudousi, or Chinese stir-fried potatoes. We make this about once a week in our house, and pretty much everybody likes it. It's not that hard. You just need a leek, you need a few aromatics, a few potatoes, and perhaps some other spices. If you want to try your hand at Chinese cooking, this is a great one to get started with. To start off, you need to peel and wash your potatoes. You don't need me to show you how to do that. I like to keep them in a bowl of water. You're going to slice off some millimeter slices off the bottom of the potato. What that's going to do is just stabilize it on the cutting board. And then what you want to do is slice about 1 millimeter thick slices all the way down. Be careful not to slice off your fingertip. You could probably be using a better technique. I know how you're supposed to do it with the knuckle, but that's uncomfortable to me, and my knife's not that sharp anyway. You want to carefully slice all the way down the potato, keeping a relatively similar thickness to all the slices if possible. The more times you do this, the easier it gets. Once you've got all your potatoes sliced, you're going to lay it out flat, kind of like a deck of cards. You want to spread it out over itself so that it lays out in a nice, neat row. And then you want to cut again about 1 millimeter thickness all the way down your line of sliced potatoes. What this is going to do is give you a julienne. I think it's called julienne. Look, I don't know. But it's going to be little matchsticks, strips of potato. And that's what we're going for in this dish. Sometimes the potatoes will mess with you and slip out from under your knife, especially when it's not that sharp, like mine. Don't worry about it. Just go all the way down the line. And then at the end, if there was a couple noticeable mishaps where you have one that's just way too thick, you can trim it up. You can make this dish with any kind of potato, but I find that a yellow, waxy potato has the best starch content for what you're going for. So that's my recommendation. Once you've got your potatoes chopped, you put them in a bowl of water and you add a splash of vinegar. That's going to keep the potatoes nice and crisp when we cook them. And just mix that in and set the potatoes aside. Now let's talk about spices. These are dried chili peppers. You can use about 3 to 5 of these in the dish if you want. And these are Sichuan peppercorns. It's about a teaspoon. However, my kids don't love spicy things, and since this is one of their favorites, we're going to do it without the spice. We are, however, going to need a few cloves of garlic, which you're going to want to peel. Peeling garlic can be kind of tedious. It can help if you just kind of smash it a little bit. That loosens the skin from the clove. Sometimes the skin still annoyingly clings to the clove, but you do what you got to do. We also want to peel about an inch and a half of ginger. You can just use a peeler, but sometimes when ginger's really knobby, I just slice the peel right off and take the knobs away. I'm sure that's not the right way to do it, but it's the way that I do it. Some people even leave the skin on in the cooking process, but I don't like those little flakes of ginger skin. I'm going to slice the ginger into some thin slices. It doesn't matter too much. You just want about 5 to 7 pieces of ginger. And your garlic cloves, you can smash them, chop them up a little bit if you want, and they're ready to go. Lastly, we want to chop our leek. Of course, you need to rinse this out. Leeks can get really dirty. I give it a kind of rough chop because some people in the family like to pick around the leeks, but the size isn't that important. You could also use spring onions if you prefer. This was a tiny leek. I need a little bit more. Leek, garlic, ginger. We are ready to go. So we're going to drain our potatoes into a strainer. You don't have to dry them off too much, but you are going to be stir frying these, so you want to get off most of the excess water. You need a wok. Please do not try to cook this in any other kind of pan. Put 1 or 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, cooking oil in the pan. In China, they would use probably a lot more than that. We're cooking over medium-high to high heat. Really, the hotter the better for this dish. It's going to go pretty quick. Once the oil's hot, you're going to go ahead and toss in your ginger and your garlic. We're going to cook these in the oil for about 1 minute, 2 minutes, until they start to blister. You don't want them to burn. All this is doing is flavoring the oil. It makes a big difference when you don't put a lot of spices into the dish. You can really taste the garlic and ginger essence that's left behind in the oil. After a couple minutes, go ahead and scoop the ginger and the garlic out. You're done with that. Leave behind as much of the oil as possible, though. We're definitely going to need that. At this point, you could go ahead and add your dried chili peppers and Sichuan peppercorns and cook those for, 30 seconds, and then toss in your leek. This oil should be very hot. Stir fry that around for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you're ready to add your potatoes. You pretty much want to stir fry this constantly because we're working at a really high heat. You don't want to let it settle for too long. I don't have master wok skills. I can't be tossing it around and doing all those tricks. I just stir it around with a wooden spatula, and that gets the job done. Stir fry the potatoes together with the leeks for about 1 to 2 minutes, and then you're going to add some sugar, half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, depends how many potatoes you have, and then that same amount of rice wine vinegar. Again, the temperature should be very high as you stir fry all of this together. The leeks may get a little bit of color on them, which is fine. What's going to happen to the potatoes as they cook is they're going to start to get slightly translucent. Now you do not want to cook these so that they're falling apart. They should be tender but crisp. They should definitely have a bite to them. So you're going to want to watch and not overcook them. They can have a tendency to get kind of slimy if you cook them for too long, and that's not what you want. You want to stir fry them for another 3 to 5 minutes, and then when they're about done, you add about a half a teaspoon of salt. If you haven't used the chili peppers, you might want to add a little bit more salt, but you can adjust that to your taste. And scoop these out of the wok. They are done. It's a very fast cooking time, so it really helps to have everything prepped up front, but it's really not that complicated. It's not that much to prep. You can tell by the sheen on these that they're almost overdone, but that's not going to stop me from using my novelty lightsaber chopsticks to scoop up a bite. And actually, these chopsticks are not good for eating. I'm going to use some regular chopsticks to scoop up a bite and enjoy. Let me know if you try it at home.